Because it was like a walking simulator. I was gonna do Space Oddity, the William Shatner version. How he did Rocket Man.
Oh no!
But I was gonna do a spoken word version of Walk by the Foo Fighters. A million miles away, your signal in the distance. To whom it may concern. I think I find my way. Getting good at starting over. Every time that I return, I was learning to walk. I believe I've waited long enough. Where do I begin? I was learning to talk again. Something like that. That was what I was gonna do.
No, I never want to die. I never want to die.
Whatever, I never want to die.
And then he slurs back into Rocket Man. And I think it's gonna be a long, long time till I learn to walk.
Got you feeling down in a peculiar way. No continue, no respond, no way to save your game. You wanna hang out in a special place. I think it's time for good game, well pod. Good game, what you playing now? Good game, well pod. Good game, what you playing now?
Alright, so we are live. We're here talking about Moons of Madness. This is Good Game, Well Pod. I think that's what we decided, right? We can always change it.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Alright, and then so my name's Ian Indestructible. I'm here with everyone. Just want to go down the line and introduce themselves. Michael, you want to go first?
Sure. My name is Michael. I go by Gamut online.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself, Michael.
Oh, well, I recently had a daughter, Penelope.
Not recently enough.
Not recently enough to matter to anyone.
Storyline in this group.
It's old news, apparently. It's like
Right,
being the new kid in school. Once somebody else is new, they kind of forget about you being the new kid. Same goes with fatherhood, apparently.
We'll kick it over to Alex now.
Hi, my name is Alex, go by Butts. I'm a semi-professional ship poster, and that's it.
All right, and now we'll do Chris, because I want to save Kevin for last.
My name's Chris, and usually I go by like Green or Rev. But nice to do this interview.
Yeah, we'll see if you get the job. We'll see if you have what it takes. So, and then lastly, we want to kick it over to Kevin. And Kevin, you want to tell us a little bit about your background?
Hi, I'm Kevin. I am a professional video game developer who works in a company that will be disclosed probably never. I also had a child very recently, like last week recently. So I'm on paternity leave, and I'm digging life.
So we were going to dedicate this episode to little Maximiliano. I'm sure he goes by just Max, right?
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
Yeah, okay,
so we're just going to first day in kindergarten's going to be...
Wait, Maximiliano? Or like Maximilian? Or what? How do you say it? Max?
It's a lot of I's and A's. I just say Max because it's easy.
Yeah, my name has I's and A's. I'm picking up what he's putting down.
Maximiliano?
I made a little tribute for you, Kevin, in honor of your fatherhood. I'm not sure if you guys want to listen to it.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I'm going to play it. Here it goes.
Hey, what's up? We are Creed. I heart bass fishing.
I heart Jägermeister.
I heart my wife and my wonderful children. I heart radio.
You tell me, who is your daddy and what does he do?
You ain't gonna believe this, but you used to fit right here. I'd hold you up to say to your mother, this kid's gonna be the best kid in the world. This kid's gonna be somebody better than anybody ever knew. And you grew up good and wonderful. It was great just watching every day was like a privilege.
I'm Pepe.
No, Daddy, no!
My son is alive. No. The Supreme Leader is wise.
Snoke is using you for your power. When he gets what he wants, he'll crush you.
Very interesting story, Mr. Powers. Of course, I'm gonna have to wait until I see all the facts. Daddy!
Shh. Daddy's here, Ducky. He may have been your father, boy, but he wasn't your daddy.
Oh, that's a hell of a way to kick off a podcast.
Yeah, I threw that together
I'm
in
getting
honor
mixed
of
messages. Is that foreshadow
May have been
or?
your father, but he wasn't your daddy.
I had to put that one.
Oh,
That should
wow.
be the Father's Day sound bit.
I'm gonna have that. I'll play that for you every Father's Day.
Michael's father's too, so I mean,
Yeah.
Oh man, that's nice.
Might as well have my dad on and talk to him about what it was like to have a kid 28 years ago. Have Michael talk about his dad experience. Old news.
Michael's been a dad for 3 months, 6 months,
Like 7
No.
months.
7.
Exponentially longer. But yeah. So anyways, I don't have too much to say about our game from this week that was picked by Chris. Chris, do you have anything to say? Do you want to introduce the game?
Yeah, Moons of Madness. The reason why I kind of picked it was it seemed like a interesting psychological horror adventure game, which I had no idea at first it was kind of made by Lovecraft, but yeah.
Well, made about Lovecraft. I don't think the estate of Lovecraft.
It seemed like a
Yeah, based on
Lovecraft
his
thing.
stories.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, based.
Seems like it. I mean,
Yeah.
the name is called Moons of Madness, in reference to Mountains of Madness.
Well, yeah.
I think a few of the chapter titles were his short stories too. I'm not mistaken.
I mean, the one of the notes in the very beginning of the game, like in the tutorial, mentions that he's apologizing to his wife or something, saying, "I'm not actually in Antarctica."
Yeah.
Where
Oh, it's his dad. I think it's his dad, right?
Yeah, it's
Wait,
just his
wait,
dad.
when he was when you're flipping the picture, to find the password.
Yeah, it's his dad, right?
No, I think that was his kid in the game, but I don't.
No, he's talking to his dad.
Yeah, I think your dad sent you away, right? And he thought it was.
No. Oh, wait.
He lied to him originally,
Actually,
saying he was
no,
going to Antarctica.
Damn.
which is where the Mountains of Madness book, where the location was in the book.
Oh.
Oh.
But instead, he's in Mars.
Yeah.
Oh, is that where they were?
Mars. Yeah,
That-
Mars.
that's a big step up right there.
Oh, it's
hey,
Mars?
Dad,
Oh,
yeah,
man.
I'm going to Antarctica, Dad. See you later. Later on, I'm in Mars. How did I get
Get your
here?
ass
Get
to
your ass.
Antarctica.
Mars, huh? Why not Saturn?
I hate you, Dad. I'm going to Mars. God damn it.
I'm gonna record that and put that in the dad tribute. Sample that audio. Yeah, there's not like I said, there's not even like a Wikipedia for this game. So as far as the production, I have nothing to mention about it.
You really have to play it.
Yeah. I did minimal amounts of research on it as well. Just in the title cards, it says some companies that were involved. I didn't actually get a look at the credits, but Funcom, the creator of Conan Exiles, worked on this. Rock Pocket, which is made a couple of Switch games. Don't know what their involvement are, but they're both Norwegian. Maybe they tag teamed this development, or there was some kind of tandem development. There was the Norwegian Film Institute, which I bet they got a grant from or entered some kind of indie develop. This is all my guess, best guess. It's probably
Headcanon.
Creative Europe Media, which also funds ventures, business ventures, and Innovation Norway, which I believe is I honestly can't remember. And Fmod, which is,
Fmod.
great sound plugin for Unreal.
There's other companies as well. I mean, there's ZPX. I don't know anything about these companies, but I watched the credits.
Oh,
Yeah,
damn.
There's Testronic.
Watch the credits.
Whoever Testronic is.
Yeah, the credits went really slow too.
Dream
But
Loop.
At least you got a
I
good
don't want to
view.
spoil the game, but the
At
credits
least
were
you got a good view. That I didn't spoil the game, but at least you had a good view when you were watching the credits.
You might have had a bad view. You got the bad end.
Oh, there's only. Yeah, I think I got the good ending, but I don't know. Like, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, we will. I did research that. There are 2 endings.
I got both endings. Yeah.
So anyways, as far as like before starting out, Moons of Madness. I guess we'll go over to. Does anyone want to try to break down the plot, kind of beat by beat, and we'll just talk about things we liked as we go?
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah, I guess. Like, the plot is kind of a little confusing, but it's more of a playthrough, and you kind of get it. But yeah, you can do that.
First off, it starts you being in a dream.
Big Kingdom Hearts tribute intro. It's starting out in a dream. Obvious homage.
Oh.
No, it's not at all.
I'm like, I don't play Kingdom Hearts. I wouldn't know.
Several J-pop songs were playing during the opening sequence.
Classic tribute to Portal, right in the beginning. You know,
Sandman playing silently.
Well, I like the dream parts too, because the dreams really did put foreshadow into the game.
Yeah, there were some interesting bits there. With that first dream sequence especially.
Yeah, well, they really hit it right on foreshadowing, which I really like in books or movies when it has something to do with foreshadowing. And you're just like, why is this happening? Then it goes to a sequence, and you just go back into this original place, and you're just going to wonder what's going to happen next. Is this really a real thing that's going on in the very beginning of the game? But I like how it played on that.
Yeah, that first sequence after the initial dream sequence was pretty fun because it was kind of mirrored what you did in the dream, and I was worried that it was going to fall apart and become scary, and I think it was a good fake out. Glad the game held its cards a little bit during that first bit because I was kind of waiting for something to happen. It never did.
Well, yeah, especially because you smelled the first fucking jump scare from 8 miles away. You're like, oh.
I actually walked backwards into that trigger volume and watched the witch lady pop in front of me.
So, but what I also appreciate too, because when you watch the trailer for Moons of Madness, when you watch this trailer, you're really trying to understand what's really going on in this game. And when I watched the trailer, but when I played it, it built on aspects of a storytelling rich game.
No, it definitely leaned on that more than anything else.
I was just going to say, I did not expect to have that level of, narrative going on. I honestly expected this to be what is it? Any of those cookie cutter, Slender Man kind of
Yeah.
Yeah, I was expecting
SCP based video games. It had kind of Firewatch level narrative going on.
The environmental storytelling was giant part of the game, which is always awesome. Anytime you have to read shit to know what's going on, and you get more out of actually exploring. There's a lot of that in this game.
I also did like the reading part in that game too, because when you awake from the dream, you still have to read to figure out puzzles. You still have to read to figure out the past of your character, and to get out of the room. Because when I first played the game, I'm like, how the hell did I get out of the room? I guess I have to read, so I'm picking up all these things and looking around for objects just to read how to get out of the room. This is the first room in your bunk room.
Yeah, totally. Right, yeah. It required a lot of actual problem solving versus just kind of going through the motions. The one thing I will say is that once I learned about the objective scanning thing, it kind of took away a lot.
Oh yeah.
That went out the window.
Yeah.
Completely lean on that for every objective.
Some of them wouldn't come up. Some of them were like,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and those
They're
were like the best
obviously,
sequences in the game.
You're gonna find it, and then my dumbass just wandered around going, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I didn't really use that until probably the third act. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh.
I used it. Yeah, used it about halfway through the second act, and I realized how overpowered it was and how much faster it made everything go. But yeah, kind of took away from the game. It's like in the Majora's Mask remake, where they have the like special bomber's notebook that just tells you like exactly where to go, when to do shit. Like it's like a modern day objective marker. It just completely like kind of kills that game's mystique.
The funny thing was trying to find that bioscanner because I think I like ran around the room like 10 times just trying to find it.
Oh yeah, that thing was fucking tiny. I did.
And I'm just like, where is this thing? I'm like, I hate this game. Why is it so small? Oh, it's right there.
Yeah,
I definitely ran past
flaw
that.
in the level design there a little bit.
I missed that poison vial later on too.
I liked how that. I liked that
a
factor
light
of the game.
on it. That could have made it a little easier if they just put like a spotlight, like a dangling lamp, maybe even an animated lamp or something,
No, I think it was all right. It was just like use your head, like run around, read some notes, and you'll find it in a science vicinity area, and there you got your bioscanner.
Yeah, I think they intentionally made the game like that. They made it more difficult to find so that you would actually look around, find the notes, just to force you to. It's kind of like, people want you to read their book. They want you to play their game. I wrote these notes. Somebody's got to read them. So they make you want to look around and explore.
Hiding passcodes in the files and stuff like that, kind of indiscriminately, so you kind of have to read all of them. Yeah, there's a lot of that, which I liked personally. I think that's one of the things the game has going for it. Overall, I do want to say one of the things the game doesn't have going for it, and I'll get more into it in the second act. When it tries to ratchet up the tension by having death conditions, I think that's when it starts to not be as good. Because initially, I think it works really, really well with like building the tension as kind of like a walking simulator, as much as like that's a kind of...
You're kind of right and wrong about it, but...
I'll talk about the part I hate later, but yeah, I think that's just a thing that you start to see little cracks of, but really the first act is like incredibly solid, not leaning too much on that type of stuff.
Well, but I think the game was more of like, what if something, like if you did play the game, and we all know about this game, it's not the most challenging game in life-death situations. It is supposed to give you suspense of like what's around the next corner. And it does have some good points about it. It's just, it didn't like show it all the way where you open the door and it's like, oh, I'm dead. I'm seriously dead. But it really doesn't do that. But like, I kind of see what you're going with.
Except for the one part of the game where it does, and that part really, I thought was pretty insufferable. But like I said, we'll get there when we get there. But yeah, I have some notes here about the first act. There was a coffee machine. I drank 6 cups of coffee to see if it could like trigger a death or something, and it didn't.
Yeah, I drank like 20 maybe.
I drank 1 cup of coffee, and like that Russian chick was like all pissed off at me, and I thought the funniest joke was, who shit in her cereal? I thought that was like literally funny.
It's not as much of a joke as it is an image.
Oh,
probably happened.
Yeah.
Problem happened. He was like, who shit in her cereal? Like, damn.
Which breakfast bar did you eat though?
Oh, I ate all the breakfast bars. I ate every single one. I
just drank coffee. I'm just like, I'm going to start my day with coffee.
So here's the big question, though. They have like this giant, greenhouse on Mars, and there's tons of like lush tomatoes. There's tomatoes on every vine, and yet they're eating fucking power bars, like dehydrated power bars.
Yeah, dehydrated like Soylent type shit.
Like,
have you ever had a dehydrated power bar?
It kept like
fucking exhilarating.
Back in the day, like basically we had all the food in the world, and we did the most disgusting thing ever. We deep fried hot dogs.
Yeah, that was awesome.
No, you said this was the worst thing we've ever did, and we're never going to do it again.
I mean, the worst thing I've ever eaten was cereal with shit in it. That was by far way worse than any fried hot dog I ever had.
You eat cereal with shit?
Yeah. That's why I'm such an asshole. That's why I'm mad all the time. Someone shits in my fucking cereal. That's why I'm an angry Russian asshole. Okay, I also liked that there was a accurately worded NDA. There was a really long non-disclosure agreement. I liked that. I thought that was fun. I'm a mark for that.
I did not read it.
I also did not read it.
I'm like, oh no, this is like one of those terms of agreement things that I just.
It was like the kind you have to sign to work at Fox News. Like.
Wait. Was it like the engineering or like the astronaut like program thing that you signed up to do?
Yeah, kind of. But there's a lot of world building in that like first room where there's like that giant green screen and you're clearly like shooting propaganda to make it seem like you're like doing more science than you actually are.
I just figured it's for ad campaigns and like they'll do that all the time. Like I've been like at a studio I used to work at, they used to do that for like hiring videos. They used to have like a green screen and then like people would walk around the office and then it would be like a dev diary kind of a thing. That's how I imagined it. It's like
it totally got me hoping the game would have like this dark like because the company like Orochi or whatever, they had some like big Wayland Yutani vibes. So I was hoping they'd just be these total like fucking like venture capitalist grifters like fucking Theranos, and they were just sending these like videos down to be like, yeah, we're all that billions of dollars you're investing, we're doing all this science. And it's like they're just fucking jerking off on the space station.
They're not doing anything. Growing tomatoes.
CGI.
I wish I would have gotten more into that. I would have made me so happy. I thought that was the way the game was going off that first like bit, but
there's like 6 people on Mars. Like, what? What kind of an operation is this?
No, there were 6 people on Mars, and there was a few people in the satellite station that was overseeing Mars.
But still, 6 people?
Yeah, it did seem very sparse. I imagine it's hard to work there.
Like basically, you guys were like, what Ian said. You were the skeleton crew of important task of setting up a base and doing research. And apparently, I don't know how all that went wrong.
Skeleton crews are like the #1 horror cliche. Like we're on a base that
derelict space station.
Like no, it's like a Mass Effect 2. Like we're on. I'm Commander Shepard, and we're doing a suicide mission.
Yeah, we watched Deep Blue Sea yesterday, and fucking. That's like one of the first plot points is like 95% of the people leave because we can't have that many people get bested by a shark. Same thing with Jurassic Park.
To be honest, they made the shark stronger, and for some reason, Samuel L. Jackson always gets killed.
Yeah, Samuel L. Jackson is always on the skeleton crew and always gets eaten by the monsters. That is the one rule of skeleton crew. He is in Jurassic Park. He's one of the last employees to stay, and also in Deep Blue Sea. Deep Blue Sea, where he is like the venture capitalist, he goes down and gets.
What did I spend my money on? I made a shark smarter who's going to eat me? Oh, fuck me.
Yeah, we should do a Deep Blue Sea podcast.
This is, I mean, the parallel between this game and Deep Blue Sea is actually pretty spot on.
No, I felt that. That's why I thought I'd mention it. I'm like, there's a lot of parallels.
Like, why would they make this shark stronger? Like, why? What is the scientific reason for that?
Oh shit, I spoiled the game, didn't I? Fuck.
No, you didn't.
Well,
Don't worry.
I'll cut that. I'll bleep it.
No, you didn't spoil it.
I'll put a cut in.
We didn't go. Why don't we just go straight into spoilers at this point?
Yeah, we'll go. I'll edit that, but we'll go into spoilers so everyone can't.
No, well, Ian, you didn't spoil it because it's a little bit more complicated than that.
It is more complicated. I just like that's a good little thread.
We'll get back to it.
No, it's like the ending has nothing somewhat to do with Deep Blue Sea, in a way, but the skeleton crew kind of quite similar to that, but not really, because when we get into the other part of the game, you would see like there was a backup plan for the contingencies of things going wrong, and I don't know how this backup plan came up into play. It's just weird how you just see it come up.
It seems like a weird thing to be only a few like radio transmissions away from. But...
No, it's like spot on physically there. It's just like what? Like I just don't get why you need a backup plan when you were like the original dreamer. We'll get into it.
One more little thing that I noticed in the first act, because I tried to do a puzzle by jumping off of a fucking cliff, seeing like I hadn't established that there was fall damage yet. So I was and I had a death screen, and I love that the death screen for this game has the fucking name of the game and the registered trademark symbol.
Moons of Madness, you are dead.
Oh, can I bring up something?
Yeah, go for it.
Did anyone like almost kill themselves by taking off their helmet before pressurized?
Yes. I did that. I'm just like, what? I'm like, oh god, hit the button. I'm just like, put my helmet back on. Like, what did I do?
See, initially I was very annoyed by that bit of the gameplay loop, but by the end I was like, okay, I kind of like this. I kind of like that I have to think about this every time.
Well, it's Mars. Come on, think about it. Like, realistically, if you're gonna do that and depressurize with no helmet on, yeah, your eyeballs might fly out of your sockets.
I watched Total Recall last night.
Actually making that one sequence where you had to run outside made it worth it.
Well, it's an achievement. It's called Iron Lungs or something like that.
I mean, they should have dubbed over the sound of like Arnold Schwarzenegger, like
Total Recall.
Yeah. I do like with the helmets though, when your character's freaking out, how he like panics to press every button to put air in, and he's like, "Oh, miss." I'm like, this guy's like me when I'm playing any game.
Also, I didn't notice it until the very end, but on the life bar, it was saying that the SpO2 on the vital sign thing was 37% actually. I wasn't sure if it was like that the whole game. I don't know if you guys observed that. I only noticed it like in the first
paying attention to that because every time you have to look at your vital signs, you have to look down.
Yeah, because that would kill you. So that kind of had me by the end of the game going, "Oh, my character's like some weird demon who isn't human or something." And no, I think they just weren't paying attention. Maybe 37's like normal in metric or something, because that's how that percentage works.
You're actually thinking about it from like a respiratory therapist point of view.
That's what I was doing. Yeah, I was trying, but it didn't. It ended up
like
hurting my ear.
Yeah, but here's another funny thing: when you look down too, your suits are sponsored by Orochi, and you're just like, "Ah, oh, god damn it!"
Oh yeah, they were everything. They were the whole shebang.
And at first, that was another good foreshadow too, because it didn't say anything about Orochi either. You just look down and like say, Orochi? What's Orochi? Like, because it really didn't explain who was Orochi in the beginning of the game.
Orochi is the best class in the video game For Honor.
Yeah.
That's what the Orochi is.
Yep, I guess he bested you all right.
So,
I mean, with a name like Orochi, you can't expect yourself to be working for a good company. I mean, that's like the most obvious bad guy company name that you could come up with.
Any Asian sounding space name.
But that was the funny thing, because Orochi was just like a simple distraction. You're like, who was Orochi? And it turned out they weren't the biggest plot hole problem.
Yeah, no, I was pleasantly surprised that it subverted my expectation with them being like the big bad, and they weren't really. They kind of were, but they weren't.
They weren't the problem. It's like, yeah, there's bigger problems going on, buddy. Like, get out of here.
They were not driving the conflict really at all.
Like, I think they were just really trying to figure out the conflict. But
they're trying to take advantage. Oh, before we leave the first act, though, I did notice that this game, it just Kevin, you remember watching Doctor Who?
Yes, I watched a couple of the seasons, probably till like season 8.
You've seen like all of David Tennant though, right?
Yeah. I mean, I missed a couple episodes here and there, but
just before he like dies and becomes the next Doctor.
Oh, hey, I'm gonna watch that.
There's like this Waters of Mars episode where he goes to Mars, and there's like these evil things, I guess the water from Mars that possesses the people, and when I'm playing the game in the beginning, I'm like, this game feels way too familiar. I've seen this all before. And then I'm like, oh, it's exactly like Doctor Who. But only the first part of the game, not with any of the weird dreamer stuff.
Where's David Tennant? Basically, he's on the radio, right?
Yeah.
Blood Monster from Halo?
Bloodbuster from Halo?
You mean the Flood guy?
Yeah.
Oh.
It reminded me exactly. I was like, oh, this is like the Flood from Halo.
Like the Flood Prophet guy, or like the
No, when you're in the.
They do look a lot like the Flood from Halo.
Is that chapter?
that big pink guy? Got
That's
full pink.
chapter 1, no?
Is that still
Yeah,
chapter?
He shows up
Yeah,
at
the
end of
water
chapter
plant.
one.
The water plant is the end of chapter
Water
1.
puzzle. and then-
wait, say that again. Like the end of chapter 3 was the water plant.
No, chapter 1.
Chapter-
Oh, chapter
or Act 1.
I don't know how it is.
Act
Yeah, whatever.
1.
however they
Well,
divide it.
Part
Act
1.
Well, we're also skipping the part where we had to mess with the satellites, because the satellites kind of pissed me off a little bit too, because I was like
The solar panels or the satellites?
the solar panels. Yeah, it was solar panels. But like at first I thought I was doing it the right way, then I kept on turning it left to right, then I found out that you can go up and down with it. So yeah, pretty bad on me.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
yeah.
part I had to do.
I took that battery out of the last one and I couldn't figure out what I did wrong. And then I put it back in and then the check mark would go and I take it back out and I'm like, I don't understand. And then
I did that too. I tried to, because I was convinced that was part of the game.
Yeah.
That was going to be one of the puzzles that you would have like a battery, then you put a battery in one door, and then you go through the door to get another battery. I was so ready for that to be like a thing throughout the game that I immediately took it out and I was
I
like,
was trying to
what
hoard
is-
that battery and they're like, no.
Did anybody put the battery in the mining machine that didn't work?
No, I didn't do that.
No,
thought about
I did it, and I'm just like, it doesn't
It's a
work.
waste of
It's
time.
like you can't do anything.
It's a waste of time.
I conveniently did the satellite part like flawless, or the solar panel, sorry, pretty flawlessly, just because I was like, oh, well, here's the first panel, and then I got distracted and went downstairs anyways to that labs, took the battery, went back up, and did the other 2 panels, and I'm like, oh, I forgot to do these. And then that was on the way.
But
that's
you
the part
still
where I
have-
dropped
But
down.
you
and
still
fell
have
my
to
death.
adjust the satellite panels and still go up to the top of the hill and activate the relay.
Yeah.
I think I
So
dropped on the relay when you climb all the way up that really tall ladder.
Yeah.
But I don't remember dying from fall damage. I think I got lucky.
I didn't die from fall damage until Act 3, but I'll get
I'm gonna talk about that. Yeah, I'll talk about that shit.
no, you can die from like Act 1 in fall damage, because I'm like, oh, what does this do? Oh, I died.
I was trying to go fast, and I tried to go. I'm like, well, I could take the elevator. That seems slow.
Gotta go fast. Gotta go fast.
Like,
The greenhouse, is that part of Act 1 or?
Yeah, it's Act 1.
The water land. Yeah.
The water reclaiming.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that was a very interesting point in the game where it starts to get really horrifying too, because you're starting to do these puzzles and like basically you're finding out that there's a black goo or organic matter coming from somewhere in a lab in the greenhouse. Like, who tests their stuff in a greenhouse? Like scientifically, biological dangers in a greenhouse, right by the greenhouse where you grow all your food.
So the lady, it made it seem like the lady was like a genetic engineer or some kind of.
Yeah, the Russian lady. She was like a botanist, right?
Yeah,
It seems like.
she was doing some kind of. She was saying like she combined 2 organisms together and you find
make the perfect life form.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you could tell she was
Obviously,
crazy.
Tomatoes plus humans equals, Nyarlathotep from H.P. Lovecraft's, books.
Well, I mean, she adds that
Yu-Gi-Oh!
secret
Card Killer
factor too.
Oh yeah,
tomato.
the Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
So it was just a tree growing inside the greenhouse, and it was spreading throughout the whole base. But the interesting thing about that was it seems like it was already in Mars, and that was another foreshadow. I don't know where she got the samples from. She got the samples from somewhere. It was like an excavated site.
So it wasn't the tomatoes.
No, like she started the test on it, and that was the whole point of the game, because
Well,
go ahead, Michael.
I was gonna say, I thought she created the tree.
No.
Yeah,
That's the vibe I got.
That's the vibe I got too.
Because I thought what it was she, or maybe the Orochi company, found some secret alien technology. Well, not necessarily technology, but like some weird unknown. What's the
She didn't create the
thing?
she found it.
Element, and they called it that Z pathogen or something.
Yeah.
and then she used the Z pathogen in her botany, and it created the mangrove tree.
Yeah.
And then it evolved on its own.
Yeah, and I thought that's what she meant with like the combining of the organisms, because like that got mended with human.
I think she was setting with it, but she actually found it from an excavation site.
I think they found the pathogen. Yeah, I think that's
right.
right.
And then and then she did research with it, combining it.
Like I know like it also has a scientific view in this game, but when you go further into the game, the tree was always there. Like
I think it just grew deep.
No, because it kind of gets a little weird in the story because it kind of goes into a more of a scientific form of sense of the game and a spiritual sense of the game and a can't think of the word right now.
Gets ethereal definitely towards the end, and then it kind of abandons a lot of the impact that science seemed to be having by the end. Like it's kind of like I get that it kind of transitions more to like in the ether, like this is always bigger than like man.
Yeah, that's exactly in.
That's a typical theme for H.P. Lovecraft type books.
That was an aspect of it that was kind of interesting because I thought it was always going to go in a way where it it seemed like it was going to kind of have a balance of the two or have some
I was feeling the same thing,
like man fucking up.
No, it completely dropped into like the a weird spiritual world. I like the puzzles in the greenhouse where you had to like pull out like the water receptionists or the water tanks out of each panel and put them back in, because when I first did that, I put them back in. I'm like, oh, why isn't it working?
A little math puzzle.
Yeah,
that was a nice little cherry.
I'm watching my replay of it right now, and I'm looking at myself being a total idiot. Because before I even put them in, I'm like messing with the dial, even though I have nothing to go off of.
Yeah, but he says it. Like the character says it for you in the game, like as a puzzle. He's like, I need to turn off the sprinklers manually. And it's just like, what? What does that mean? And
that
I was
failed
like,
me out later.
I was like dialing everything. I'm like, what do I have to do? And I'm just like, I look up. I'm like, oh, well,
already.
Josh treats you like shit, dude. Like that whole first stack, except for that one dude.
Yeah, Declan.
Homie
Declan's like your only bro, and everyone else is like, just do your fucking job, man. I'm like, what are you gonna do? Fire me? Like, you're gonna fucking send me home off Mars?
We're on Mars, dude.
It's another thing I did want to briefly mention. Just first-person adventure game protagonists as far as they go. Sean Newhart, the protagonist from Moons of Madness.
Shane?
Was it Shane? I thought it was Sean.
It's Shane.
Newhart, his brother, was a total. Unlike like Ethan Winters or anyone like that, like he's the guy from Resident Evil 7, or like just some of the more like kind of passengers, I feel like he was talking a lot and it wasn't as much fun. I don't know how you guys feel about that. I don't know if you like your first person silent protagonist to be quiet, but
like basically in like Half-Life, like where he never talks.
Yeah, there was too much levity. I feel like him and Declan were like being a little too chipper. Like even like halfway through Act 2, they were still being like a little too broy.
Well,
and
in terms, we do talk to ourselves, and it didn't make like the character was crazy in certain situations though, but like he was talking to people and he talked to himself, but I think it was more of a talk through get the character yourself through the game, because some of the puzzles did get a little confusing and you would be running around and he would give you a hint to add it.
Yeah, I felt like they could have given that to you. There's almost always like a terminal or something that makes noise. They could have just had the machine go, you have to balance the capacitors before the machine will turn on, or something. And
well,
that way,
no, they would have kind of ruined that game in a way, because there was like 3 aspects of voices in your head, and your buddies also did it. But we'll get into that a little bit more later, because the voices also does have a big part of the play in the game a little bit later in the other act.
Like I said, I just think Shane talked a little too much.
Yeah, no, I agree with Ian.
It took me out of the urgency of the moment sometimes. He was a little too broy.
But like I don't know, but okay, like so
it's all preference. You can have a different.
No, you're probably right. But like I just wanted like to complete like how how like you basically turn off the water sprinklers, right?
Yeah.
And basically you look down and just like see like this light glowing and this weird thing move. Well, you don't see it, you see light glowing, and it's just like, what is that down there? I really don't want to go down there. Like it did create a suspenseful atmosphere of like, okay, it's starting to like increase on a horror game. I don't want to go down there. What's down there? But like, I guess when you do the puzzle to fix the water recliner, basically when you turn that switch on, oh man, that was a scary moment right there.
Yeah, definitely ratchet it up as you were going around looking for shit.
Like, basically, well, it's probably not spoiling it because we're going to talk about it like eventually.
Yeah, it's fine. I think the spoiler wheels are off. I don't think we're gonna.
Yeah, but I love how that the thing comes up and it gives it a title, like a book title, The Thing of the Mist. You're just like, run. Basically, you're running.
Run.
Made that sequence feel big. It's got its own little kind of bumper bumper there.
The thing get killed by jumping out of the floor trap a little too early.
What?
Yes.
What trap?
Door. The trap door, floor.
I didn't have that issue.
No, I didn't have that issue.
I fixed my microphone.
Oh wow! It's coming in real hot. I'm gonna bring it down.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Really loud. Okay.
Am I coming in good now?
Yeah, it sounds. I got you at like a 60%. That's perfect.
All right,
it looks balanced with everyone.
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to play Moons of Madness, Josh?
No, I haven't. Been busy.
That's the one we're talking about.
Yeah, Michael's been keeping me up to date.
Okay. Yeah, if you have any observations, because we are kind of connecting it to other games that are like it, so feel free to chime in.
Sounds like Amnesia: The Dark Descent to me.
A little bit, yeah. And that's one of the things that kind of, and as we're getting into Act 2 is a little bit more active. There's a lot more like kill conditions, especially with that last fight in the greenhouse. Kind of as the transition, like shit kind of starts to chase you now.
Yeah, you kind of do die with the Thing in the Mist if you do make a wrong turn.
And I that is one of the problems I have with the game. Just it's right in that zone between Walking Simulator and like Alien Isolation, Resident Evil 7 actual survival horror. It's like right in the middle. Because there's shit that will kill you, and there's like tense gameplay at times, but it's like kind of sporadic and inconsistent. And it never
sometimes I do agree with you right there, Ian, because like sometimes you can be a little naive about like the game's mechanics, and like when you're in like somewhat in a dangerous situation in that act, like don't mess around because it can kill you. But appeared like to like Alien Isolation and Resident Evil 7, it seemed like you always had to be on your guard because you were being chased down constantly in that game, and it was like pressurized.
And there's some satisfaction in those gameplay loops, like from dodging stuff. I never got any like satisfaction from this game. I just got the only satisfaction or like
the story
oxytocin release I got from this game was fucking completing puzzles. I didn't get anything from this.
Yeah. It was just basically a simple game that if you basically had the time to do, which didn't take a lot of time to do, you could do it. It wasn't overwhelming.
I wish it would have gone full Walking Simulator, honestly, because as we get into Act 2, the final part of Act 2, we can talk about it later, but since we could do the first bit, because I really like the first bit of Act 2, where you first kind of descend into like the abyss type zone where it seems like subterranean and there's tentacles everywhere.
That's a cool place.
It really doesn't go like that. You head up to the satellite station, and basically when you like walk out, you just pass out, and then you go into the dream world.
Well, before we get to Act 2, let's talk about jump scares for Act 1, right?
I thought there was only like one, right?
I felt there was only one as well, but that's because the very first one didn't really get me, which was the cake one.
No, there was one before the cake.
Was there?
When you open the door with the crowbar, there's a shadow that flies by.
No, that was the dream, and that was the dream. The very first dream was, I guess.
I didn't get godded.
Well, maybe we need to talk about our video settings first, because I didn't even see see that, Shadow. I got things set to like what they recommend, where if you can see this image, your screen's too bright, and I'm like, fine, I just won't be able to see anything then.
I think I did 2 above that because I was like,
I turned the brightness all the way up.
Like 3/4 incentives, I always miss stuff. I always just can't see them. So
I tried to just listen to them, but yeah, so that one was a jump scare for you then, eh, Kevin? The shadow right before the cake.
I mean, I would say it was a jump scare or an atmospheric, like.
It was kind of setting the mood.
Shit's happening, or like Chris said, like a foreshadow. You know, it was the setup to a jump scare where it like puckers the butthole.
It really doesn't get
actually like, get you jumping.
I feel like those setups though actually get me ready so I don't jump.
But
I don't know. Some games do it really good, like Five Nights at Freddy's, where it's like your butt is always puckered. So like
it's coming, but it doesn't help.
Well, Alien Isolation, my butt was always puckered in that game. I'm just like,
And that's kind of one of the, like I said, the things of this game. I feel like it never goes full terror. I don't think I was ever like that unsettled. I was like constantly like interested and like, vaguely uncomfortable, but I never got like full PT.
I think that's why they linked it as a sci-fi adventure horror game, and I'm just like, adventure?
Yeah,
I guess you're gonna have adventures with horrors.
It's like as horrifying as Dead by Daylight. Which isn't that horrifying.
That's that bad.
And I know I quote Alien Isolation a lot for like my most top 10 horror game that I've ever played, because I have beat that game in nightmare mode and I was terrified of that game, and I never played it since after that.
Can I mention that I was playing on the hardest difficulty?
I was also playing on the hardest and easiest difficulty.
Yeah, I was playing on the easiest.
Yeah. You guys are making fun of me. I think I was like probably drinking a little too much that night. I'm like, oh, difficulty. What
So
game am I
for disclosure, we asked everyone what difficulty they played it on. Chris said he played it on the hardest.
There's no
no option.
It's just new. Sorry, guys.
There's no difficulty.
We all
Classic
make
tell.
mistakes.
I loved when I beat Alien Isolation on Nightmare mode and I got the special cutscene. Wasn't that cutscene cool, Chris?
What cutscene did you get?
The special one.
The Nightmare one. No, don't spoil it for me.
I don't think I got the Nightmare one.
Oh.
Well, I did get the Nightmare, but I don't think there's a special scene.
See, he didn't take the bait. There isn't. I used to get people with that all the time.
But actually, there is.
No, like basically, it's just you survive. You get the achievement, the survivor.
The scene comes in your nightmares.
No, I thought you're gonna die at the end.
Okay, well, let's get back to Moons of Madness. I just wanted to talk about the jump scare at the end of Act 1, and I think we're probably all agreeing on the same part. It's where the thing in the mist shows up and you're running away from it, and there's a part where you come up to a door and you try and open the door, but you can't. I tried opening it twice, and that's one of the parts where I kind of felt the same as Shane in that moment, which again, his name is Shane and not Sean. Where he's saying like, come on, because I'm like also like, come on, open up. And then it doesn't open up, so you have to turn and think you're going the other way, and that's when the thing in the mist pops out from the corner, and that's when it got me.
I remember that happening.
Yeah, I don't know if that one always happens, because I don't feel like I got that one.
I got that one. It does happen.
I don't remember trying a door. I remember running through, and then there's that part where you crouch, and there's the 2 corridors, and you go down one, and then it starts like coming at you, and then you go back.
Mine definitely killed me by coming out of the grate.
Wait. So did you guys like take different paths, or?
I didn't know there was different paths.
I feel like there might be different ways. Like there might just be like if you hit a certain point at a certain time, he'll cut you off. Like if you're going a little faster.
Because wait.
Okay, yeah, because the door was closed and I had to go through it to fall down into the grates below.
I think it's one of those types, the context-based.
And I thought, you know what was really scary? I don't know if you guys took the vents.
Yeah, I think you have to take the vents.
Yeah, I think the vents you have to take. I think
from what
I was talking about, where you go down one. I don't know.
I'm actually rewatching my replay right now, and I'm not seeing any other path to take.
Like when the doors happen, like after the doors happen, you have to take the vents. And basically, one time I took the wrong vent, and I slowly start to see the thing of the mist come out of the vent, and I'm just backing up slowly. I'm like, oh, I'm so screwed. So I just turn around and take the other way around the vent, and like get out.
Yeah, I think that's what you're supposed to do in that part.
Yeah.
No, there was 2 pathways, but you like I think I
you
took
die
the wrong.
if you take the other one.
No, I slowly backed away.
From what I can tell, all pathways are blocked by the roots of the tree or whatever it is.
Yeah, but I think if you go the way Alex was describing, that he turned around. Like if you go that way for too long, he'll eventually catch up to you, and then you can't go to the actual path because he'll like block you off, right?
So okay, there was 2 paths in the vents. I took that path, and I saw him, and I turned around and took the other path. So yeah, you can.
Took the first one and then had to back up.
Yeah.
Okay, so you just went right when you saw it, because when it shows those 2 vents that are right next to each other, it shows the creature crawling by.
Yeah.
And then it kind of makes you assume that you have to go to the vent next to it, but then when you look at that vent, the creature's right there, so you turn around and you go back to the first vent.
Like he was like slowly walking at me. I'm like, oh, time to turn around.
I just went down one and I saw him, and then I went down the other one.
I think they're just forcing you to take one path at that point.
Yeah, and then when you like come out from the other vent, he's right there, and you have to turn around and like run out.
Sounds about right. Well, that was Act 1. Does anyone else have anything else to say about Act?
That's when
like the entire time you're like, hey, this is not cool, and everyone's like, eh.
Yeah, but if we just get the water back on, I mean, like it won't be unlivable.
Yeah, I think everyone was probably freaking out from their dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably
because everyone was aware of the witch.
Yeah, and the dreams.
Yeah, it's probably time to go down to Act 2 because I thought that was the only interesting aspect of Act 1 was the thing of the mist.
So we'll go on to Act 2. The like Chris said, your character kind of goes to sleep, and then you're in my favorite area of the game, the kind of underground, orby, hardcore Lovecraft zone. I thought that section was really cool. Like the kind of half Victorian buildings that were like all overgrown or like washed out, just rocks and shit. I thought the whole aesthetic for that part of the game was pretty cool. How you guys felt about it?
Wait, I think the only thing I can remember about Act 2, because I'm a little confused how the acts were working, even though I went through the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like after the thing of the mist, you go to the satellite station, the Warren, and as soon as you get out of your rover, you just basically walk a few steps and you pass out and you go into the dream world, right?
Yeah, that part. Yeah, I don't even know if it shows you passing out. I think it's just kind of
because what happens is when you leave the thing in the mist area, you get in your rover and it kind of
fades out.
It fades out to black and it fades back, presumably hours later, however long it takes. But then you walk out of your rover and it's the eerie cave of madness.
Yeah,
right away.
Madness, right there. So that had some,
which was very cool.
Like I said, favorite part aesthetically of the game.
Caves of Madness.
Pretty fun zone. Lots of cool interactables. I liked a lot of the written down the files and stuff in that area were pretty cool. Nice cryptic zone. Thought it was aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, and those tentacles, I guess. I don't know why there was like tentacles waving around, but basically, there was tentacles in there.
Yeah, but could you die?
Yeah, you can die to them.
Yeah, if you
probably.
Walk down, there's some that will kill you if you just continue to run into them and don't react.
Basically, you have to
stare
them down and focus and be like, "Be gone, Satan."
Which reminded me of the winged angels from Doctor Who.
Or Slenderman.
Or Slenderman. No, but that part, those things were creepy. I must say, I was probably looking behind myself way more often than I needed to because I could hear the slithering.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man.
That was also another great aspect of the game was the sound quality and a point where you can hear like creepy stuff creeping, but it really wasn't there.
Oh, it was there.
Some of the stuff, yes, and some of the stuff, no. It felt like the game was just trying to push you to like get out of the situation. That's it.
Well, I wanted to stay in that situation for as long as possible.
Yeah, then nothing would probably ever happen. But
this is my world.
Oh yeah.
Unless you're meeting the tentacles, like I guess the tentacles would just like splash some veiny stuff in your face and just devour you.
What's up, Alex?
Oh yeah, like if you miss something and you have to backtrack and backtrack again, since you move at the speed of smell.
Yeah, I think I had to backtrack a couple times in this area when you start dealing with those orbs and stuff.
Yeah, that was part of the puzzles. Just going
I
back
missed
and
the
forth.
one above in that one part. So
Yeah.
I backtracked to that other spot and was like,
I love
charge it here, and then I walked back at least twice. And then I was like, oh, it's just above me.
What about that puzzles where you have to look through all the doors and just look through a tiny peak and you're just like, oh, I activated the orbs through all 4 of those ports.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about.
Oh.
Except the only one that he missed at first was the top one.
Because he was like, oh, your guy's like, oh, well, this is familiar. And I was like, okay, well, I gotta activate 3 of them. And you activate the 2 that get you there, and then 1 in there. And I was like, well, that's 3. Job done.
Right, because even the pedestal only has 2 things going to it.
Yeah.
I almost reset there. I couldn't. I had no idea there was shit behind the door. I was just standing there do I take this over to the other thing to charge it, or where do I put it?
And then I realized that there were the 2 more. Yeah, I mean,
it's cool.
Whatever.
Good little problem solving. And like I said, not like a puzzle, quote unquote, but definitely problems to be solved, and that's kind of the engine of the game. Kind of keeps you moving forward. That was satisfying. And then from there, I think it goes to the house, right? With the laundry room and the
once
room.
let's see, pretty sure.
And what's also funny about that when you're activating the orbs, when you get popped out with I guess you're getting mugged by the astronaut, the psychological astronaut.
Yeah, astronauts.
Make the really loud noise, and then the door slams open, and you're like,
well,
thank you.
The first astronaut grabs you, and he's trying to pull you in. And then, I guess after you complete those puzzles, the astronauts are slowly walking towards you, which did create a little bit of a vibe of a scary moment.
I didn't look behind me. I just kept going.
Yeah, it did have that little bit of suspense. Just not as fast. Just slow. Just run.
There's an achievement you can unlock right when you get to the basement too, where there's the pool of water and the electricity.
I did that. I did that for sure.
I did not do that.
I didn't do it.
I'm actually gonna talk about that. I think I accidentally found a glitch in the game.
Oh.
Because I opened the door to the back with the periodic table puzzle.
Uh-huh.
And I think when you do that, it checkpoints that you've already picked up all the pictures. Because I opened that door, I'd only picked up one of the pictures for the next puzzle where you have to put them in order. And then I electrocuted myself, and when I respawned, I had all 6 pictures in my inventory. I'd already picked them up.
Oh, that's convenient.
So, yeah, I think that solved another puzzle for me on accident. They figured you would grab all the pictures on your way to solving that puzzle, I guess. Yeah, kind of sequence broke it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I had to go back after I opened the door. I'm like, well, I know I need all 5 pictures or whatever, so.
That's what I went to do, and then I I didn't accidentally, I just thought I could walk around the part of it that was wet, and then I actually looked at the room, I'm like, oh, there's water everywhere, it's all around. I thought it was just a puddle. I tried to shimmy, did not work.
I played with that monkey way too much, thinking it was going to do something.
Me too. I played with the monkey 5 times.
Same with the rocket ship in the beginning.
I really thought the monkey was supposed to protect you from I don't know, dreamers, because there were dreamers floating around in the basement.
Yeah.
I don't know what they were, but the stealthy ninja-looking dreamers.
Yeah. No, I think. We'd probably just call them dreamers.
I guess the monkey did nothing, even though I was playing with it every time.
I don't know that. You didn't get the secret ending.
There is no secret ending in the game.
There's a bad ending.
There's 2 endings, yeah.
There's 2 endings.
Which one would you? Oh, we get no later.
Yeah. Well, anyways, so you get out of that spot. Like I said, I thought that was one of the more interesting areas that, like I said, I sequence broke it on accident, but apart from that, it was actually one of the funner parts, and aesthetically, it was kind of fun to have
No.
what you'd been
Did
going through
anyone?
mixed with like the domestic.
That part of the game was based on puzzle upon puzzle upon puzzle. There was like 3 puzzles upon that part of the game. I felt like.
Was there?
Yeah.
I think there was like 2, right?
Yeah, you open the door and there's 2 inside.
You open the door, then you have to go back and find the signs and like put the signs.
Oh right, I forgot that the one where the things glow, because like I was just like that was just naturally happening as I was moving my mouse around. I was like, oh.
You know what?
That's the part that took me forever. Because I was completely like.
I noticed like when you were playing with that rocket ship toy. And when you're putting the pictures in place, that was also another sign of foreshadow too.
I looked at the periodic table way too long because I was like, before I even knew about the puzzle, I was just looking. I'm like, wow, they really got all the elements here.
Sort of brilliant.
And I just started reading the elements, like, oh, Seaborgium, interesting. 269 Hassium.
Yes, that section of the game was pretty good. Like I said, the first half of Act 2 I think was pretty generally solid. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, there's a good jump scare there too, right?
Yeah. That was the one that got me the best of all the ones in the game.
Oh, same here.
You go into the periodic table room, and then when you turn
when you leave, yeah,
you get jump scared. That one got me the best of all the jump scares in the game. That one definitely was the one that actually got me.
Oh, when you turn around and try to leave the door.
Yeah.
I thought I had to stay in there. I thought because of that happened, I was like, well, I can't go that way. Wow, I was like, well, I guess I'll just try again.
And I will say that after I respawned, I thought that I had already set the trigger for that, and then it happened again, and it got me kind of.
I have myself recorded reacting to it, and yeah, I jump back pretty. My eyes get wide, but then I just walk through the door. Like I'm literally just wide for like half a second, then I walk through the door like nothing happened.
Yeah, it definitely didn't last.
For me, because like when the game does shit like that, usually like you take a little bit of damage, and I'm like, well, I took damage, so I can't go that way because reasons.
I feel like at this point in the game, I hadn't died yet, so I was feeling pretty invincible through most things.
That's true.
It wasn't until like I don't know, towards the end of the second act or the third act that I started dying because I started getting impatient.
Yeah.
I'm like, I wonder if I could just run past this.
Is there anything else between that section of the game and the robots?
There's the sabotage satellite right after you get out of that basement dream.
Like basically right when you get out of the basement, like you do the satellite mission, which was like the whole point before you enter the dream world again.
You get communications back and everyone's like, hey.
But I did like how you had to like go through aspects of fighting how to like work the satellite for 100% communications.
Oh yeah,
relay.
I was dumb at one part with that satellite puzzle. Just because at the end it's like press T to talk, and I didn't press T. I didn't, because you had to wait like a second for it to show up, and I was impatient. I just left, and I'm like, well, how do I communicate? So I looked around the room, and then I went back, and it's like, oh, press T. That part, that's when the game, I feel like once you got to the dream world, the game started getting really interesting, though, to where I started looking around more. Because there was like the stacks of rocks, and then you read all the entries about the witch or whatever moving the rocks.
Mm-hmm. Well, but like after you get out of the satellite, I like that part too. Like it sounds like you were being hunted down in the sandstorm. And like when you like get down to the bottom, you're just like, dude, where's my car? Following your car because your car wasn't there originally. You have to.
Oh yeah, you have to run.
You have to
through
run
the sandstorm.
Find your car. Well, you have to stay in the light too, because for some reason, I guess I don't know, the darkness was trying to kill you.
Beings from dust.
Like,
where you just move from light source to light source, yeah.
Yeah.
The part was cool.
Oh, that's where I parked my car.
Like once you close the doors, it's pretty neat. Because you like see them, 3 of them walking towards you, and your guy's like, "Fuck, close, fucking shit, can't put air." And then I suffocated because my character failed to put air in. Just kidding. No, I probably used too much oxygen throughout that game because I'm like, I probably need oxygen. Anytime I saw an oxygen tank, I just used it.
I was kind of hoping that would work. There'd be a little more like oxygen deprivation sections where you kind of had to solve a puzzle under some type of duress, but it really never materialized.
Well, apparently you can survive for quite some time without oxygen.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the Iron Long Run.
Yeah, so that was funny.
Like, I think you like sprinted like 300 meters across the base and just got in there.
Yeah.
All right, so are we going to the next
Skipping over the satellite. I don't think anything too interesting happened during the satellite part, though, huh?
No.
I feel like the most interesting part to me was the rocks being stacked.
You're like, ooh.
I'm like, oh, this is kind of a neat story. Let me read this guy's journal. The next section is a lot more interesting once you start reading all the.
Yeah, but you know what?
You learn. It introduces that Lucas. Character.
Wait, so was Lucas in charge? Who was in charge of the satellite? Was it Lucas or somebody else? Because it felt like everybody was disappearing slowly.
I think Declan was originally in charge. He was put there.
And he's like, I can't take it no more.
And then once all that shit started going down, he went back to base with the Commander Josie girl.
Here's your nice note. He's like, hey, boo. Going back to base, kisses.
Declan's journal, like it was one of the cooler parts of the game, I thought, because you realize that all the people that you've been having like these normal conversations with are also going.
They're going through that crazy.
Kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I liked that. That was.
So you're like, I'm not the only one. Oh.
Yeah.
Neat.
Feel like interested about it. I was like, oh, I wonder if these other characters are like unraveling and how it's going to play in. It really didn't that much, but
yeah,
I was intrigued.
And then you get is it the third act when they're underground? Is that count as third act, or
I think
that's still part of second act?
I think. Yeah. Second act was very long.
Yeah, you learn a lot of interesting stuff at the end, which is pretty cool.
It happens all kind of in the latter half of the second act.
Well, let's see.
The plant area, right? Is that next?
Yeah, the next part is you go back and you're inside. You kind of read about Lucas's files, and you're inside of his lab, and he's like talking about how he developed a poison to deal with the plants.
I actually liked that puzzle.
The poison puzzles.
I liked it too. Puzzle. I felt a little stupid at the beginning because it's like, I gotta find a way to balance these. And I just saw like the huge circle where you get the poison from, and I'm like, do I need to put something there to balance it? What does it mean?
All I just did was I need to find 6 single ones to put in here so that I can get the whole thing to run.
Well, no.
You just run around the whole lab.
That was the actual solution. I was looking around for more vials because I'm like, maybe there's some that just have nothing and I can just balance it out.
Yeah, I looked around too, and then
for the one where the solution is 3, I thought, well, there must be another one I'm missing. Instead of being like, I can just put them in like a triangle.
That's what I thought at first, but I think the triangle part clicked before I even left the thing. I was like, oh wait, no, I can just do this.
Yeah, that was
right next to the computer though. That was.
Yeah, but it was like kind of funny what happens to Lucas when you open the door. You're just like,
think that's funny, Chris? You think that's funny? That was a man. He's dead now.
No, because
they're based on true stories.
No, because when you start
documentary, the Norwegian Film Institute documentary.
Yeah. When you start to read the files of the other characters, you don't feel too bad about Lucas because Lucas was kind of a dick. It seemed like
he was just a stoner.
He had problems, but we all have problems, Chris.
And it's like
not like his problems, dude.
Speak for yourself.
Okay, well, I'll explain that because his profile was mentioned earlier into the game. You're like, oh wow, Lucas was actually not that great of a guy, but kind of. Yeah, it still sucked how he died, though.
Those things around him show up and are never talked about or brought up, except for the end, towards the end.
What, the Dreamers?
Yeah, and they just kind of they don't do anything to you. They're just kind of.
That's true.
They don't do anything to you. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, once you leave, once those astronauts disappear, you're like, all right, don't see you until I actually get to the third act, and it's still not really scary at that point. I was like, whatever. It's kind of like I feel like the game had a good horror pacing in comparison to just traditional horror films where the beginning is very suspenseful, and then as the game goes on, it kind of becomes like action packed, and you yourself are like just kind of like, let's fucking go. Let's deal with these. I don't even care. I'm not even afraid of you anymore. Let's go.
They have to keep throwing more and more enemies at you to escalate the game, and then it ends up turning into an action game by default by the end, which this game doesn't do.
Wait, basically, like, yeah, I guess you're right. Like when you get a gun in Resident Evil, like, let's bring it on.
All the Resident Evils literally do that. The lab segments in the first two all
bring it on
compared to the rest of the games, where it's thoroughly atmospheric and actually makes you gather resources. And then by the end, it's just a complete like, I have things to deal with this now.
Yeah, but the game like got a lot. Like there weren't like any jump scares at the end of the game. I feel like they're just like, hey, you gotta run.
No, but the end of the game was foreshadowed.
Sure. But
that's where it goes back into the basement. The basement foreshadows it. The end of the game.
Did anyone else test like how fast they could run in this game? Like, you know how they have the exploding plants?
You run faster at the end when you're running from shit. I don't know why. Like, you totally move faster, and it was bothering me. Like, why am I moving faster now? Why isn't this my default move speed?
And a spacesuit. You're in a spacesuit and you're running stupid fast.
Oh, we still got to talk about the plant poison and killing the
that the closest thing to a boss fight in the game, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah. That earlier segment where you get grabbed and you just kind of can't do anything. I was like, well, quick time events aren't a thing, and then it was like.
No, you have to look at it. That's the thing. You have to look at it.
It's a Telltale game quick time event where you have to look.
And then I just completely like missed the trigger, and she was just kind of like out, and I was just kind of standing there, and I was like, all right. And then you walk up to her, and then it triggers.
I did run past her. Yeah, the second time when I just like, I ran past her. I was trying to go to the pod to inject the pod, and it wouldn't let me inject the pod till I got grabbed by her. So I had to turn around. That was a little rough.
Didn't you like pretty much like throw a crowbar into her face?
Yeah, you like stab her through the mouth with a crowbar.
And she doesn't die?
Yeah, to kill her, though, they end up just injecting the poison in the huge boil on her head, or whatever.
I have to say, not as hot as her picture.
Yeah, she looked a lot better in that photo.
And you're like, whoa, this was that pretty? Get out of here.
What happened?
Same thing with your mom on the back of the books.
Yeah. You're like, oh, and then
much more photogenic.
Yeah, I stared at those books
like
for a while.
Their art team and their modeling team was like, you can't do that. Here's what you get, and they were just like, all right. And then you go.
Yeah, and then you drop down secret lab
underneath.
Yeah, you go. You read about Ina's
cameras.
Yep.
Were you able to fight the robots?
I fought the very first robot.
I think I fought the very first one too.
It's the only one you can
fight.
Okay.
You think that you can totally fight them.
Okay, yeah.
Totally fight them. You can shrug them off or just like take a beating from them, like LAPD.
I don't understand why it lets you get 2 hits, because in that hallway.
Thank you. Fucking thank you.
Twice.
Stupidest thing. Stupidest fucking thing. Yeah, there's no reason why. Like, why can't it just be a game where if they grab you once, they kill you?
Okay, yeah, you guys were having that too.
Knock you back and then instantly grab you again in hallways where you can't run away from them. What the fuck's the point of making them grab you twice?
Yeah, the very
by far least favorite, 1000% least favorite thing in the game. Like pointless, utterly pointless, and just infuriating. Like the worst. Whole section was terrible. Just pointing the little cameras away. Everything about it was just. Again, it's like that point in the game where it tries to add too much tension and it just falls completely flat. It should have just went full walking simulator. It tries to go like tense stealth section and it just completely shits. And then one time I had one grab me, he threw me away and I was out of his sight range. So he just turned around and walked away. Like I didn't move at all because I was like, oh, he's gonna grab me again. And like he just turns around and walks away. Like, oh, this is all so good.
And walk away.
It was just that whole section. Like I don't want to poo-poo the game because I did like it overall, but that section was dreadful.
Yeah, I got stuck on that camera part where you're like, the door won't open and you can just grab the camera.
You're able to use the camera to hack into
use the camera to hack the thing. I'm like, why is this the thing? Like, just let me use my wrist.
And that wasn't the point. Like, it was like a broken window where you can like go out instead of hacking with the camera.
There's the one you have to do to get the conveyor belt to work.
Yeah, that
one you do have to use a camera to get to a terminal.
Yeah.
And then you have to also be careful of the other cameras.
Yeah,
and
then of course
Android will grab you again.
And there's that one camera a little later on that you have to run through, I think, right?
Yeah. It's like, oh, my thing won't work.
Yeah.
But then you look down and you see like a army of androids, and it's like, oh, this is going to be hard. But when you actually go through it, you're like, oh, this is easy.
There's like 3.
3 androids.
You find the CEO's golden badge.
Convenient.
Orochi's badge is here.
The
What?
CEO puzzles in that like big boardroom where you meet the dreamer or whatever. That was
Yeah.
a pretty good. That was a pretty good like puzzle with all the knobs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I
didn't
I
realize-
lucked myself through it.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right,
I
this
didn't
is
realize until the
working.
very end, like there's an actual like drawing of the completed puzzle, like right above the puzzle, and it killed it for me at the end. Like right as I'm finishing it, I realized there's just a like exact replica of it, how to do it properly, like right above the field of view. I'm like,
Oh, there is?
yeah.
I did not notice
that
that.
whole time.
If you go back to the sound, light, and like switch puzzle, that one, there's straight up a picture of
And
how to do
then,
it.
like
Right
for
above
the
it.
next puzzle, all you just had to do was look at the computer.
Yeah, I was struggling with getting the exact percentage on like the I don't know what it was.
Yeah, I kept getting like 99. on
Yeah,
sound.
I was like 101, and I'm like, one of these knobs is gonna, and then I flipped the right knob, and it just worked, and I'm like, all right. I didn't actually spend a lot of time. I feel like I got really lucky on that one. Because I'm like, I didn't use any logic.
Are ripped off of it, so like, but you can luck it off.
Yeah, you totally can push your way through it. And I have that indictment for the very last quote-unquote puzzle in the game. The everything has to be green puzzle.
Yeah, that was
literally
kinda
just
easy.
push switches.
That's what I actually felt like.
It's so easy to be a astronaut.
It's so easy to make one of those, like, it's
We're
like a
green
very
to go.
common puzzle where if you flip a certain switch, other switches go off. Like, it's in, like every game ever.
Right.
And for some reason, they're just like, no, you have to turn them all on. Flip all the switches to on. Like, that's the last puzzle of the game, really? Yeah. That was kind of a disappointment. But again, the atmosphere and all that's the main draw of the game, and all that stuff.
Did anyone else try to walk towards the thing when like
Yeah.
up against the elevator and then it just starts doing damage and you're like, I guess I just have to stand here like a dumb asshole.
Did you walk towards it?
Oh,
You start taking damage.
for the elevator thing, or?
Yeah, like you push you grab the guy's hand, you slap it on there.
Oh yeah, no, I
stayed back.
I also
I was like, all right, well this isn't working. It's not going fast enough. So clearly I'm supposed to like run a different direction or something, or like juke him, and then you walk towards him and you take damage, and then you just walk backwards and just kind of stand there awkwardly.
Really? So you didn't die from it?
No, because like you move towards it, and then as you like go towards it, you just start taking damage. Like I didn't walk all the way up to it. Like I walked close enough, and then he went ah, and I was like, well, I can't do that.
Yeah, I guess it was pretty easy path game in a way.
That's not necessarily not. So there's plenty of games. Like I said, I think the flow of it was the problem. The parts where it tries to introduce challenge, but it like introduces it like artificially. It's just like, hey, take longer to do this and wait because you have to point a camera away. It literally just draws out certain parts, and there's no real challenge. It's just annoying.
Yeah.
And then if you do die, you want to like you're tempted to sprint through it and try to like get around it.
Yeah.
yeah, that's when I started dying. It's when I started getting impatient.
Yeah, I didn't die until the robots in the middle.
Yeah.
All right, thing now.
Wait, so did anybody struggle with the computer password? Because
No.
It
No,
felt like it was pretty easy.
It was the only.
For a
It was like.
word. It's like right behind you.
Yeah, you read it, the thing, and you're like.
Eden?
No, Eden.
Eden? So,
The only other thing I tried was the meeting time first. I tried the military timing, the meeting time, 0512. I did try that.
I see the
yeah,
picture
but
now.
You said it's a 4-letter word. I'm just like, oh shit, I messed
Yeah,
up.
that picture ruins the puzzle, doesn't it?
It's a fun puzzle, and you realize, oh, it's just this.
Yeah. I don't know when this part happened, but there was I think it was at the water place. There was a terminal log where you have to get like a code, and the person's like clearly like starting to lose their mind. So it's just like a bunch of gibberish, and then the code.
Yeah, the one where you gotta get his hand.
Yeah, that was the one, right? And then that one reminded me of the Keeper's Journal from Resident Evil, except it was, instead of being like a fun context thing and then seeing a thing about it, it literally is just like gobbly-goobly-goobly-goo passcode. It was not. It was a little disorganic. Didn't create as much dread as the one from Resident Evil. I love like int logs about like turning into the monster, but when it's strictly a means to getting a code, it kind of killed it. Yeah, I don't think there was too much else to say on that part. Does anyone else? I mean,
basically, after you do the puzzle, you just go into the dream world. That's it. Again,
that's when you meet your mom, right? Well, you kind of have that
Well,
first
yeah.
period.
Right?
Your
Yeah, you're in
mom
the
is
therapy room.
actually like, I guess when you go into the dream world, you realize your mom is the witch.
Which was my guess initially.
Yeah, from like when they're just immediately like, yeah, your mom, she wrote all these books. It's crazy she disappeared, huh? Yeah, it's weird. I remember reading her books.
The logo actually gave it away for me. 'cause the
Oh,
logo
and
for
that's
Moons
what
of
I
Madness
also wanted
looks
to
like
come
Mom.
back to. And
Back to like when you read like they have the updated NDA down there if you read it, where they're just like, yeah, we can just like murder you and replace you.
Oh yeah.
Orochi had like.
If you murder anyone, if you witness a murder, if you read this thing.
And that's when you pull up the file about Lucas and you actually found out that Lucas was like a homicidal maniac living in his house who kidnapped women who likes to beat them in his house.
Lucas wasn't a maniac. He was just a mailman. And the people picked on him too much when he was trying to deliver mail. They always said he was taking their mail.
What?
No, he was a murderer.
A heroin addict?
He was like a serial killer, right? Yeah, Declan was a heroin addict. Or meth, or I don't know what drug it was.
Convenient that you find people that can do these exact jobs.
The only one that didn't really have any real problem was pretty much Shane. I mean, he went to therapy. I feel like that was all they had on him.
Therapy with his mom.
Monster goes to therapy.
It was weird that he forgot that his name was initially Sean and changed it to Shane.
Yeah.
Sus.
That was a weird retcon. I don't know what they did there. Then you go to
strange.
therapy, and that's just kind of a cool little segment.
Yeah, therapy was fun.
Therapy was
I liked being in the class, because once I got in the classroom section, I'm like, oh, I want to know the answer.
Yeah.
The gates of heaven. No, that is also wrong. The Mormons, they had it right. Oh.
Making sure all the equations checked out. Goodwill hunting the chalkboard.
Yeah, that was just a cool little sequence, and then you meet your ma.
And she turned out to be the witch. I didn't actually start thinking she was the witch until the therapy sessions. To be honest,
First time that you talk with Declan about her, and you're like, yeah, she just disappeared. I'm like, yep,
Yeah, that's why I was like,
she's
okay.
the witch.
to be honest, the witch had very little presence in my mind playing the game. I almost immediately forgot that she was even a thing.
I didn't even know the witch was the witch for the first jump scare. I thought it was just a weird corpse thing. I didn't realize it was
Right.
feminine or anything. Like it's some weird ghoul. And then like as you kind of get through,
And you read all the things saying
It's kind of
about the
getting weird
witch.
when you say, "Can you help me?" Then it apparently turns out to be your mom. I'm like, what?
It's nice.
yeah, it gave it a meaning as far as like I said, it wasn't really a twist, but it did make it more interesting. You kind of want her to not be a psycho and to actually be caring about her kid, but
Turns out she was just caring about her kid. I was a mama's boy.
yeah. Oh yeah, I didn't get Mama's Boy.
No, I did the other one first.
Wait. Yeah, I got that one.
Does he-
Child.
What does he say?
Mars sucks.
Mars sucks. It's-
Mars sucks.
Then he blows.
Yeah,
He just launches a missile.
And that's the ending. I know we entirely skipped the sand.
Yeah.
Sand
Act
thing.
3 is pretty short. The Tremors sequence was great.
Yeah.
No, I tried to cheat, and apparently you can't cheat. It just
Yeah, I got trucked by the Tremors a couple times at the end. Because I'm like, well,
Tremors homage.
yeah, that was a fun
I
one.
thought that was pretty simple.
And then
Kevin
you have
Bacon.
the puzzle, and I was sitting there trying to do it, and I didn't realize you could
But
rotate.
Them. The last one it took me a little bit of time with the rotating because I'm like, this doesn't even look like that, and I just placed it down, and it was like, oh, I did it. And I'm like, oh, I thought there was a square in this one. I guess I was wrong. I took.
And you get super speed, and then you're supposed to stand on a platform that's falling down.
Yep.
And I'm
I
like,
did that. I did that too. I did the exact same thing Alex did.
I went
Platforms
for
have, like,
yeah.
Like, that's where I'm supposed to go.
They have a
What am I
time-based
doing
like
wrong?
thing where they drop slightly lower so you don't die from fall damage. And if you don't wait till it drops slightly lower, you make the next jump and your legs snap like fucking twigs.
But like,
Great.
it's a fall distance that you've fallen from before and not died. It's the
That's true. There's a sequence in the game where it's specifically like, I guess I have to jump, and you don't die. Okay.
And then you're like,
I'm registering that.
And then you just start dying like 3 times in a row, and you're like, well, I'm just gonna get here, and then I like stop to push my button to.
And I think that's really like I said, that's when the game falls apart. I think when it tries to like introduce like action elements or like survival elements, it just doesn't they're not like refined enough.
Well, yeah, you're not aware of what you're capable of or what.
Yeah, it's too inconsistent.
What boundaries you have.
It was just basically all puzzles of madness.
Yeah, I would have gladly preferred if like that was a cutscene of me running out. There was I got nothing from playing through it.
QuickTime event, and I would have been like, all right, well I know QuickTime events are a thing now.
The sprinting through it, there was no like added challenge other than like just frustration from going too fast.
You have to hold on. You have to wait for the rock. You're not waiting for the rock to fall.
Time it.
But you're moving so much faster. It's like, oh my goodness.
So that was frustrating, and that's like I said, that's been my main critique of the game. It's just when it tries to do like a little too much action, it like doesn't have like the legs to actually do it. Like there's no mechanics or satisfaction. There's no like gameplay or balance.
No, I felt like when everybody dies like in front of you in the final puzzle, pretty much it seems like of like the monoculous chamber or whatever the hell that thing's called. Yeah, all that I guess Declan says is like, yeah, your mom's a bitch.
Yeah, but I already knew that. I didn't need someone else telling me that.
It was kind of funny,
Declan
though.
looked like he was having a much more satisfying time playing the game because he had like a fucking like scepter with wrenches. You know, like a cool little fucking weapon. That was.
I thought I was gonna pick that up and I was gonna have to zap the little alien dudes who showed up again, but they were just like, nah, fam.
Oh, yeah, I think those were the dreamers that came out of nowhere and just they just ran. Like, hit and run. Peace out, dude.
Why didn't they just murder me so you could murder people?
Yeah,
They had to know I was cooking something up.
Yeah, I just don't get it. Just the puzzle, that was it. You just run after the puzzle.
Run.
Yeah, it was the gameplay loop. So just walk to a place, you do a puzzle, walk to a place.
And that loop was incredibly satisfying, except for when they tried to interject fucking like fake enemies and stuff that just didn't work. It was totally satisfying until they tried to get a little too cute with it, I felt like. And that was when it started to not be as much fun.
Yeah.
Overall, though, still worth it. I would take at least they tried. They get it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a nice looking game, and the story pulled me in.
Well, at the final act, I thought there was something big was gonna happen, but you know, like how you're just like walking through the door, like to get the station ready for the launch pad, and like, oh, somebody's already been here, and you're like, and it turns out nobody was in there.
Yeah.
So I guess just like killed the vibe of like being more suspenseful, which didn't happen.
Kind of ended a little fast, which is fine, but definitely accelerated to an end as where it was kind of building a whole.
And your mom shoots you in the space to murder you for her own, so she can come back. I'm like, hell no.
Yeah, I just launched a missile, blew up the moons.
Mars sucks. Die.
Blew up okay, what kind of missile was in there that blew up 2 mil?
Why did that rocket have a missile in the first place?
Yeah, like it blew up 2 moons. What kind of missile is that?
It's just a contingency plan that they developed.
It's a Tatooine missile.
Death Star missile.
And then you are
What
floating
happens if you pick the other ending?
Well, when you choose not to send out the payload, the moons kind of start it gives like a weird warpy scream vibe, and then you see like just a tentacle type of thing expanding out in space. It's very dark and kind of hard to see, at least with my brightness. So, and then that just keeps expanding and you die still. You're just watching a thing expand instead of the moons be exploded. And then the people are on the radio are still like, Mars's moons suddenly disappeared. I'm like, oh, they don't see that thing. Okay.
It's gonna convert. Well,
the dreamers are coming.
No, well, she did say the dreamer world was going to consume them.
Yeah, so I blew up them.
Yeah, no, at that point, I chose the cabin in the woods ending. Fuck humanity. They had their chance. Let's give the dreamers.
Oh, wow.
They say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one.
Yeah, well, you dreamed and you died.
Yeah, no, I think it was a pretty good game, honestly.
The story dragged me in.
Story was pretty most interesting aspects of the game. So.
Oh, totally. It was a complete story-driven game, 1000%. To the point where I don't think I would ever play it again.
Yeah. I checked the other ending. It doesn't change like any dialogue whatsoever.
I feel like it's very designed for that too, because the only 2 options are new game and continue. There's literally no way to like go back to a specific point. So like,
yeah, they just take you back to when you're running out to the
it's
rocket.
not even suited for like achievement hunting. It's straight up just like a
Yeah.
no, you did it. It's over. Bye.
Yeah, it's like just reading a book for the first time and just throwing it away.
That's what I do.
All right. Well, let's see. Favorite moments? Anyone?
I think a lot of us hit these, but I'd say definitely my favorite moment was at the beginning of the second act. The first time it starts to the actual like architecture changes, and you're not like on like industrialized Mars anymore. I think that was the best part. I like that.
Oh yeah.
Well, I guess my favorite moment was the thing of the mist. It's straight up there, horrifying. Run away from it. And not only that, you think it disappears for a while, then it comes back, and you're just like, Shane just like completely freaks out when he sees it again. He's like, "What?" So yeah.
My favorite part was drinking 20 cups of coffee.
Yeah. Santa's feeling a little buzz.
No, but in all seriousness, I only got to the greenhouse part because my baby boy was born. Like
I don't know, Kevin.
And I did have to take an intermission to change my boy's diaper.
I liked when you re-enter the dream world and you go to the therapy.
Yeah.
I really like the therapy room, and like when you get to the classroom, especially that part just seemed the most interesting to me. I felt like, all right, I'm in it now. I'm a dreamer now.
Play a high point. Alex, best moment?
Favorite part is when I found that stupid fucking vial.
Well, I guess we'll just do what's your least favorite.
The part where I couldn't find the fucking vial.
Oh.
Wonderful. Least favorite moment, Michael?
Oh, poop. Probably the greenhouse, like the beginning part of the greenhouse where you just have to like find the 3 reclaimer units and turn off the sprinklers. That part just kind of felt long to me. Okay, and I didn't really get anything from it.
Finding that stupid ass bioscanner.
Wow. I definitely 1,000% was the fucking robots. Worst thing I've had in a while.
I will say my game crashed a few times during the robot part, so I had to replay it a few times. But surprisingly, I still didn't like the greenhouse more.
I would have stopped. That would have been it. I did play it on Xbox, if that's worth mentioning. Like it was pretty.
I think it's worth mentioning. What was the load times like?
Like there weren't hardly any. Honestly,
that's good.
It was a pretty like load timeless game.
Yeah, it seemed like once the game starts up, that's like all the loading you do.
Yeah.
No, I was happy with it. There were a few like awkward parts of puzzles where like you had to. I imagine it was just like you could click on different parts of items, but I had to like actually turn the whole camera towards like the side of some of the things to like see the notch on it button or whatever.
Yeah, you mean like the water reclaimers?
Yeah, the water reclaimers. Like if I didn't turn it like all the way to the left, like it wouldn't even give me the option to like mess with the notches. So
yeah, basically you do have to look at it and just like click on it.
Oh yeah, it's a lot quicker on the mouse.
And sometimes you'll accidentally put it in your inventory, or you just put it back in the slot, and you're just like, okay, this is getting a little.
They weren't very intuitive with keybinds for a game that had for a computer mouse and keyboard. Not being able to remap anything was kind of lame.
Oh yeah, and there was another thing I didn't like about this game. For a computer system, you couldn't like simply like if you're doing like a password or something, you simply couldn't use your number tab.
Yeah, we couldn't type anything in.
Like, because I could do that in Alien Isolation. I could just hit it real quick and just like go.
You know what's weird is it actually gave me the feature like type in other names on the computers. Like if I clicked on the name, it would bring up the Xbox keypad, so I could like type in whatever name I wanted for like no fucking reason. Because like you're always logging in as the most recent key card you picked up, right? I feel like maybe that was like a way to get Easter eggs or something. But yeah, like I was like, what the fuck? The first time I did it by accident, I'm like, why? So that's weird that you weren't able to do keypads on.
Basically, yeah, I guess the game was just somewhat simple.
That's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing.
It's not bad.
Bad. It was when it tried to be too complicated that it ended up feeling like
shooting itself.
Yeah, maybe the team was a little too small and they weren't able to like actually program in like hit detection for these robots. And that's
screw it. We're just gonna say if he grabs you, you're dead.
That would have been fine. That would have been so much better. The fucking awkward grab where he like bonks you on the head and then like immediately grabs you again.
Like,
if you don't
start standing up and then he just gets you again. He's like, "Why won't you?"
And it reorients you no matter which way you're facing. So like you're running one way, but like he automatically bonks you the same direction, so it completely like can flip you around 300 like it was not great.
Yeah.
Again, didn't break the game for me. One bad segment, not a bad game make.
We could all agree it was all about story. That was
final thoughts. Anyone have anything? Like I'd say overall, it was a nice experience. Like 7-8 out of 10. I'm gonna rate it. I'll say 7.5 out of 10.
I would just say just 7. Like
Chris, you seemed like you liked it a ton.
I'll give it a 7, but it's just like other aspects of the game. Like it really wasn't like I said, it really wasn't like a Alien Isolation like survival horror game where you're constantly on your toes and your feet. It was a good story, and that's why I gave it a 7.
He gives it a 7 because there's no gameplay.
Pretty much, like it has puzzles and gameplay. That's like I said, it's puzzles of madness.
You walk to puzzles.
Puzzles of madness. That's it.
And then when it tries to do anything that isn't walk to puzzles, you're like,
yeah.
What is you doing, baby?
It was just a story.
I thought the greatest aspect of like being scared and running away, and it had the aspect of survival, was the thing of the mist, running away from the thing of the mist. That was it.
It had that looming sense of dread that no matter what you did, it was going to be all for naught, dealing with like
the
supernatural story. So like I'm not trying to be like I know it all about this game. It was just I liked the ending. It was basically 2 choices. That was it. Rich story. I'm good. What were your opinions about the game?
Michael's, I think, the only one that doesn't have a rating so far. So
despite it not having good gameplay, the story itself is kind of like all the game was. So based off the story, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. So I was going to give it an 8 for the 2 moons.
Alex?
5.99999.
8 bags of popcorn.
So basically you gave it a 6.
Not a 6, but not a 5. But almost
5.9 repeat.
It sounds like close to a 6 to me. Well.
No, you have to round down, so it's 5.
Yeah, no, it was a solid experience. I like I said, if it wasn't like so story driven and like it has 0 replayability.
Yeah, no replay.
That's why I pretty much got the game, was story.
Yeah, I thought it was worth what it was.
I think it did a great job doing what it intended to do. I feel like.
Josh, based off of what you've heard, would you be interested in playing the game as the bystander?
It sounds pretty interesting to me. Yeah, I think I'd give it a try.
Yeah, kind of a hybrid walking simulator. Not bad.
Yeah, not too scary, it sounds like. So I get freaked out when things get too horror-like. Like Amnesia was too scary for me.
Definitely never goes full Amnesia or Outlast. It never goes there.
No.
Not only that, if you're like a full-time worker, like at your job, and you just like pop an hour or like 30 minutes on this game, and it doesn't take that much effort to beat the game, but it does have interesting puzzles, so it doesn't take too much of your time.
It's about a 3-hour go, depending on how.
Yeah, if you're not reading much, it's gonna take you. I don't know, 3 hours pretty quick, but
it's not a speedrun friendly game. Like you basically have to do all the shit you have to do.
You could definitely get it done in 5 hours,
for sure.
5.5, generously.
That was nice, wasn't it, folks? So that was the first episode. We'll probably clean it up a little bit here as we go. I hope this finds you in a comfortable and safe place, and that you're managing these strange times well. The next game that we'll be playing on the podcast is going to be Prince of Persia: Warrior Within. Feel free to email us any questions and comments you might have to our email at goodgwpod@gmail.com. That's goodgwpod@gmail.com. If you have any questions or comments for this episode, or would like to contribute towards our next episode, Prince of Persia: The Warrior Within. I'll see you then. Stay safe and take care.